Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is 11 a.m. on May the 12th. May the 12th, and it is a Monday morning. Many of you will still be sleepy. Many of you will be thinking that Bitcoin is at $61,000, but I had a word. I spoke to the management and I asked them if it was possible just to give Bitcoin a bit of a pump before the show so we had something to talk about and not just a crab at 61,000. So good morning to Hidden, Daniel, Kishan, Peter is here, Only You is here. Good morning to all of you. We have a busy show. Also, Sabolks, Mayor, and your Core, welcome to the show. For anyone that has no idea what I've just said, Crow with KNIFE is a project that I reviewed last week. Had a retracement, is now pumping. Go and check out the video. Good morning, Kabir. Welcome to the stream. So we have a busy day. It's a bit of a different show today because I wanted to shake it up a little bit. We are going to have a look at some pairs, especially for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Solana, Bitcoin Gold pairs. And I'm going to show you why one strategy of holding Bitcoin for the last 2 years would have outperformed almost everything. So we're going to have a look at that. We're going to have a look at what Mark Cuban has had to say, another target for Bitcoin. The Trump policy, you won't believe who he has on board to help him out. We then have the rally driver. Now, again, not necessarily anything to do with actually driving cars, but driving the crypto market onwards. Then final thoughts. And that's why today the show is called Apples and Pears. We're going to look at the pairs. Even though Solana and Ethereum are not the same, they are not anywhere near the comparison you can make with Bitcoin. We're going to go over that. So if you're new here, smash the like button and give us a follow. Fans, 128,700 followers. Trying to get to 200,000 by the end of the year. Let's see if you guys can help us out. And as always, we're going to start the show with the markets. Excuse me. So Bitcoin is coming in at just under 63,000. It is up 3% in the last 24 hours. It literally went up 3% an hour before the show. As I said, I had a word with management and they agreed for the show at least just to give us a bit of a pump. So the entire crypto market cap is coming in just under 2.3 trillion. Volume is incredibly low, under 50 billion. Even for a Monday, that is low. Bitcoin dominance, 53.7, it's creeping back up. ETH is struggling away in the 15s and 16% range, not really done anything. It peaked, I think, at 20%, 21% during its spike up, so that's fallen down, but Bitcoin is taking its place. So Bitcoin is up, Ethereum is knocking on the door of 3,000 again, and what do we have? We don't have many gainers, actually. Ton, that coin I do not like, is up again, up another 6.8%. SHIB, Aave, Thor, and of course Bitcoin. It's very rare to see Bitcoin in the top 5. That is up. Losers then, Pendle, IMX, Akash, Arweave, Wormhole. Not many gainers, not many losers. So we will go through some charts today, but we are going to be looking at a lot of pairs. So I don't know how long this show is going to take. I'd like to say we're going to do this in an hour, but I really do not know. Now, 2 things to say. Peter and Only You, I have both of your portfolios. You have very complex portfolios. I am going to need some time to go through them and give you some advice, not financial advice, but some personal advice. I have a question. If I sold my crypto after holding under 1 year, would I pay more taxes as opposed to selling after 1 year of holding? That entirely depends on what country you're in. In America, for example, you can hold for over a year and pay less tax. If you're in Australia, I don't know what your rules are. In the UK, it doesn't matter how long you hold it for. I think you pay tax anyway. Darkness of Humanity, Crow with Knife is where it's at. I totally agree with you. And we always start the show with a little bit of nature. And today we have the beautiful Aurora Borealis, which I was trying to catch where I was and I didn't see it. Beautiful, beautiful. I think we had 6 solar flares, solar storms, all hit us at the same time. The first time we've had anything like that for about, what was it? Was it 16 or 26 years? Incredible. So I hope you managed to see it wherever you were in the world. Now, Elon Musk shared this post. It's been shared many times before. This is to do with the Federal Reserve, your national bank, central bank, wherever you are. If the bank is bankrupt, it runs out of money. The bank never goes bankrupt. To continue playing, it uses slips of paper to keep track of each player's banking transactions until the bank has enough paper money to operate again. The banker might also issue new money on slips of ordinary paper. Banks never run out of money. Remember that. They will just print you into obscurity, and they'll debase the money in your pocket without you even knowing. Always the way as well. When we lose the odd tweet, let's move on. So we'll get through some of these, and then we're going to have a look at what Mark Cuban has been saying. So what scares me most is not the fact that the media is not telling the truth. It's the fact that some people still believe them. I think that is the case in most countries around the world. The media seems to have lost its way a little bit, and that for me is an issue that needs to be resolved. We need to go back to actually reporting facts and not narratives. So Pentoshi, another very good account to follow. You don't always have to be in a trade. The best trade the past month was likely no trade for most people. There is a time to play offense and there's a time to play defense. That in itself is one of the best skills to learn, the ability to do nothing but wait. Now, I have done nothing but wait all year, and the only trade that I have made all year was to buy Near Protocol. That's it. The only trade I have made all year. Now, the last one, which I snuck in at the very end. So Pamper, a very good account that I interact with. We've done a lot of stuff on Crow with Knife and a lot of stuff on Push, 2 meme coins on the Kronos chain. Well, he is running a giveaway to give away $100 worth of Push to one lucky winner, and the details are there. For those of you that follow me on Telegram, the details are in Telegram. If you're not, go and find Pamper and enter the competition. It's a legitimate account. It's not fake. It's not a fake account at all. Is swapping crypto the same as selling crypto as far as capital gains? Yes. If you swapped your Shell shares, for example, if you sold them and bought Tesla, or swapped them, should I say, that is a transaction that can generate a profit and therefore is a taxable event. I am not a tax advisor. I'm telling you from personal experience. If you sold $1,000 of Bitcoin for $1,000 of ETH, if you'd made $200 on that Bitcoin, you would need to pay $40, $50, $60 worth of tax in certain countries. So it is capital gains, yes, in certain countries. I don't know what country necessarily applies to you, but I did make a video about a tax software which is free to use. So somewhere on my channel there is a video about a tax software that actually, I believe it was Kishan asked me for the best software to look at your taxes, and I found one which was free. There's no, as far as I'm aware, I haven't got an affiliate link on it. It's a free to use tax software and it covers different countries. So you put your details in and you put your country in and it tells you what your tax is. Now, Mark Cuban is not a shy wallflower. He has blasted Gary Gensler, saying the SEC chair has not protected single crypto investor. Oh, it has not protected a single crypto investor against fraud. They are not stupid questions. They are the same questions that everybody else wants answers to. Remember, I'll keep saying this till I'm blue in the face. There are no stupid questions. There are, unfortunately, stupid answers, but there are no stupid questions. Tax-related questions, crypto-related questions. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can give you my opinions, as always. And tax is a very sticky one. But if you do, like I say, if you do trade crypto, that is a taxable event. So Mark Cuban is calling out the chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, saying that the regulatory agency has yet to protect a single crypto investor against fraud. In a new message on social media platform, we're going to call it Twitter from now on. I'm not having X anymore. He says the SEC chair and their tough stance against the crypto industry may cost President Joe Biden the 2024 election. That is a very, very tenuous connection. I don't think crypto is responsible for Joe Biden losing the 2024 election. I think there are way more things that are going to cost him the election than crypto. It might be one of them, but it's certainly not anywhere near the top. If Joe Biden loses, there's a good chance you will be able to thank Gary Gensler and the SEC. Crypto is a mainstay with younger and independent voters. The Shark Tank star goes on to warn Congress that crypto voters could be a deciding factor. There is also a warning to Congress. Crypto voters will be heard this election. You could solve this problem for Biden by passing legislation that defines registration that is specific to the crypto industry. Now, I am going to talk about this later on as well with the Trump policy. Good morning, Solo Sky. Welcome to the stream. Remember, if you're new here, smash the like button, say hello, do all of those good things. Let me know where you are watching from as well, and I'll try and give you some shout outs. So, Cuban has warned Joe Biden and Democrats against fading crypto. Gary Gensler has been fading crypto ever since. Now, why is this important? There is a belief that around about 15% of Americans hold crypto, I think, which would put that at about 50 million people hold crypto in America. Now, of them, I doubt very much many of them are as passionate about crypto as maybe you are. So of those 50 million, you might only get 5 million that really do follow the markets. Now, 5 million voters is about 1.5% of the electorate. So taking out kids, maybe it's 3% of the electorate. Could that swing the vote in Biden's favor? No. I think he's losing by about 9 or 10 points. I think he's the worst rated president in the history of America. So I think this is the first crypto election, and I'm going to talk about it more when we talk about Trump, because there's something very big Trump is about to do. And again, we spoke about it on Friday when I said that Trump was trying to disarm Robert Kennedy, and he was disarming him by adopting a similar crypto stance as Robert Kennedy, because he knows Robert Kennedy could use that against him. However, this isn't a politics show, so we are going to get back on track and talk about crypto. And especially when people give what I consider to be overly optimistic targets for Bitcoin, for crypto. So Bitcoin repeats the 2016 history perfectly amid a $350,000 price prediction. Bitcoin's price chart resembles that of just weeks after the 2016 halving, as it hovers around a local bottom, according to crypto traders. So another has predicted, one of these traders has predicted that we could see a $350,000 Bitcoin during the peak of this cycle. Bitcoin has repeated the 2016 history perfectly. Crow with Knife prediction, please. I will have a look at Crow with Knife towards the end. I will. We've got 45 minutes left. We've got plenty of time. I do think I have a chart for Crow with Knife as well. So Rekt Capital, I do like their stance on a lot of crypto. I do like the way they do their predictions. He indicates that the reaccumulation range at this point of the cycle is any price below 61,000. We're at 63,000 now. We have pumped up from exactly 61,000. And there we go. There is Rekt Capital with its target. And there is the 2016 comparison to 2024. You can kind of see a similarity. Remember, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. It's not going to be exactly the same. You could probably use the apples and pears analogy. You know, apples and pears, 2016, 2024. They're different fruit but they are the same. They are both fruit. It's good to see people still live by meme coins. It certainly is. It certainly is. I mean, meme coins they're like a gateway to crypto for a lot of people as well. Direct highlighted Bitcoin is currently in the last pre-halving retrace stage. Once it's passed, in 2016, it saw a 48% spike just 6 months later. Now, again, 6 months after the halving is when the supply shock kicks in. So you've got different timescales. I still think 18 months after the halving is going to be the peak. And I say that because it's happened every single time. You are hearing people telling you that it's going to be in December and it's going to be in April. If they're right, good, I'm glad. But why has it been so accurate every other cycle that it would be different this time? What are the indicators that would make it different? We haven't seen them yet. So I don't see an early peak as in December. 6 months after the halving would take us to November this year. I don't see November this year being the all-time high. There's no reason for us not to go 50% higher. Absolutely not. That would put us at what? $100,000, $95,000 by the end of the year. I could see that. That's on the cards. Brogan's target is $94,000. So there is some similarity there. But that's not the peak. That's not the top. And the issue is, if people are telling you that the top is in December and we're at $94,000 in December, you might think, well, that could be the top. I'm going to sell. Then we could retrace for the first 4 months of 2025 and then have another run up. And then we go to 140, 160, 180. And I think it's dangerous for people to start moving the goalposts on you when it's worked so well in the past. There is always going to be black swans. There's always going to be white swans. But I don't see us having an all-time high in December or April. It's too soon in the cycle. The cycle doesn't change. It's a 4-year cycle. Plan B lays it out. Others lay it out. Pentoshi lays it out. Don't give it such a bad rep when it's worked so well for so many years. They say it's different this time because of the macro situations around the globe. But we had the same thing in 2021 and 2020, didn't we, with the pandemic. The pandemic, that time was different. The time before was different. The issue is that the world runs in cycles. You know, we have the 8-year cycle in the stock market. We have the 7-year cycle with governments and their financial, the inflation. At the minute, we've just come out of a recession, which means we're going to head into something else. So everything runs in cycles. Governments run in a 4-year cycle. Everything runs in cycles. And that's the issue for me, is that you can say the same about everything. This time it's different. You know, it might be different, but it's still the same. The issue is, it was the pandemic 4 years ago. We've now taken almost 4 years to recover from the amount of money that they printed. How do you protect yourself against money being printed? You go and invest in an asset that appreciates greater than the debasement of the currency you're holding. Why do so many people in Turkey buy Bitcoin? Why has Turkey got the greatest adoption of Bitcoin in the world? Because their currency is shot. So it is different every time, only you're right. But it's the same. It's different and the same. It's a different trigger, but it's the same outcome. And that's why I cannot see past November next year. So I do think we could be at 94,000. I do think he is correct. Based on adoption and prior draw exams, we can guesstimate that the peak value will be at between 175 and 350,000 in the next 9 months. Again, I'm very dubious about giving you a price target that is too soon, because I don't know. I mean, if you go back 4 years, we had 2 tops, didn't we? We had April, but then we had the second top. Well, now, was that a fake top? Who knows? Very quickly then, we're not supposed to, but let's go and have a quick look at the Bitcoin chart, because I want to see if we've broken back into the range. Let's see if we are back in our range. I think the like I said, the issue is it's a different reason why stock markets crash. It's a different reason why we have inflation. It's a different reason why we have these things going on. But just because it's a different reason, it still has the same outcome. That's the thing to think about. Right then, so we're still in this range. We've done a very good job, I think, of holding this line, which is 60,000. What did I say? 60,800. So we've done a very good job. Now we need to move this up a little bit today, because the bull market support band is now at 50. Let's call it 57,000. So 57,000 is the bull market support band. It's moved up. It moves up every week. It moves up. Back here, back at the beginning of April, it was at 52,800. So we've moved up $4,000 we've moved up in the space of a month. Nice. Now, remember to always look at the volume area. We've just pumped up to 63,000. We're now back in this range here. The next area up from there, which we talk about, is 67,000. So I don't think we're going to break past 63,000 anytime soon, but you never know. We've got a little bit of bullish divergence on some of the time frames. We're not overbought, we're not oversold. This pump has just taken us up from the bottom, from the lows. Is it a rounded bottom like Brogan was talking about? Did we invalidate the head and shoulders that we saw last week? I think maybe it's still playing out, who knows. This is the daily chart. So 63,000, again, we're in this volume area, which is going to be 63 to 64,000. We could hang around here for a bit, or what's more than likely, if we put another line in here, rejected, we dropped. We got rejected, we dropped. Are we going to come back up towards maybe 64.2 and get rejected again? Possibly. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to be anywhere near bearish until we break 57,000. If we break 57,000 and we start to come down, then that's when I'll start to feel a bit bearish. But at the minute, there's no reason to be bearish. There's no indicator of sell pressure out there that I can see. Grayscale have stopped selling. The ETFs are still buying. Mr. 100 is still buying. The markets are still buying. I know you're asking, why is the price going down? Is it FTX selling to pay the creditors? Is it Mt. Gox selling? We don't know. But there's no indicator as to why we are. Maybe this week we have a good week. Maybe we don't. I'm not 1,000% certain on why we are here, but we are. And normally I've got a reason why we're here. But at the minute, I don't. At the minute, I don't know why we're here. It just happens. Now, this is the strangest article of recent times that I can think of. There is no doubt in this project is a crow with time. Right, Trump taps Bitcoin Magazine CEO to draft day one crypto policy. Now, this is a strange one. I don't understand this one at all. I mean, you have some absolute legends of crypto, Michael Saylor, for example, who would do a good job. Instead, and Trump is very eclectic, very unusual in how he approaches things. He's gone to the CEO of the Bitcoin Magazine to help draft day one crypto policy. Not a line I'd ever thought about reading out. Another flat week for Bitcoin loading? Yeah, I think so. I think what we're doing now is we're waiting for a spark. We need a spark from somewhere to give us that leg up. Now, we covered last week companies, especially Rothschilds, they were they were declaring the amount of Bitcoin or Bitcoin ETF shares they were holding. There could be, next week or the week after, a company, a more established company, come out and say, we have got 20, 30, 40 million dollars worth of Bitcoin in our treasury. And one of them could spark, and we could be at 68,000, because for me, there's nothing to push us down from here. We look like we're turning the corner. We look like we're going to have rate cuts. We're getting towards the meaty end of the election campaign. So I think risk on assets at some point in the near future have to come into play. And Bitcoin, of course, is seen by Wall Street as a risk on asset. So I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see a movement in the future. I am still bullish for the $74,000 target, but we just need a few sparks. We've had massive sell pressure in the last month. Massive sell pressure. It was being sold by everybody at one point. Anyway, Donald Trump, the Republican nominee potentially, is working with Bitcoin Magazine CEO David Bailey on a crypto policy agenda. In a May 11th post on X, Bailey stated that he's been working with Trump for a month on a comprehensive executive order to be signed on day one. Day one also happens to be when Trump, according to comments made in Iowa back in December, plans to be a dictator. What? Trump later told Times the remark was made in jest. Okay, fair enough. Additionally, Bailey pointed out that he and other players in the crypto space are looking to raise a $100 million war chest for the Trump campaign to ensure the twice impeached and quadruple indicted candidate, this magazine clearly doesn't like Trump, gets back into the White House. The revelation, God, I need to put my teeth back in, currently on trial in New York, said Bitcoin reverses his stance on Bitcoin, which he previously called a scam and based on thin air. The issue is, if you don't understand crypto and Bitcoin, you are going to say that. It's the first thing. If I speak to somebody that knows nothing about crypto, the first thing they're going to say is a scam. And they're going to say that it's based on thin air. I had the same conversation with people over 20 years ago about the internet. And believe you me, they were far more vehement that it was a scam back then than they are now. These are minor grievances because they don't understand. And, you know, don't get me wrong, 80% of crypto is not necessarily there for the right reasons. 80% of crypto is based on cash grabs, money grabs, trying to get as much money out of people by selling them the moon. But there are legitimate projects, and those legitimate projects are the ones that can help change and mold the world in the future. So you need to pick the right projects, and hopefully when we do our reviews, we pick the right projects. We're going to be wrong on some of them, but we do our background checks, we do our research. You know, as people keep saying in chat to do with Crow with Knife, yes, I've done research on Crow with Knife. I've done research on Push. I've looked at the teams behind them. I'm not going to review a meme coin and give it a positive review unless the team is there. That's all I do. I do the same thing with meme coins that I do with the projects that Peter sends over, the DeFi projects that Peter sends over. When I review the Launch Pool projects, I do exactly the same. I try and find the people behind to see what their motivations are. If a project fails, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a scam. That's something else you need to understand. Projects, with all the best wishes in the world, can be failures because they could have been created at the wrong time. You've got to be in the right place at the right time with the right product. And if you're not, if you're too early, then it's not going to work. If you're too late, it's not going to work. There is no point in selling sand in the middle of a desert. So you've got to have the right mix to get there. Yeah, Kabir, I'm not holding. So Notcoin is a game on Toncoin. And I don't like it. I said in the video that I would sell the tokens. Again, that's something else to bear in mind. I am neutral. I don't get paid for these reviews. I say in these Launch Pool videos that I will sell the token or I will hold the token, and I stand by that. And I have sold all the tokens I've said I'm going to sell, and I am not going to hold Not. It is a huge project. It's got 35 million players. I just don't like it. I don't like the Ton chain. I don't like anything to do with it. So I'm not going to hold it. Why is Flux? Again, it might not have finished building out. Flux might not have finished building out. And what will happen one day with Flux is it will pump. ICP, perfect example last year. ICP did nothing for 9 months of the year and was at $4. Did nothing. Then it caught the attention of the media and it went to $20, $18. And that's just what happens. Projects can be amazing projects, but if they don't get the media attention, they won't pump. So Trump relies entirely on campaign donations and political action committees to pay his lawyers' bills, estimated to be north of $100 million. And at an event in Mar-a-Lago, he declared, if you're pro-crypto, you'll support me because the other guys want to squash it. And he's right. Again, you see a lot of people on Twitter saying you can't vote for Trump solely on crypto. You need to look at his other policies. Well, I'm not going to get political on that because that's not my job. But his other policies aren't bad either. And if he's pro-crypto and Biden is anti-crypto, as a crypto channel, we will back the person that supports crypto. If Biden steps aside and Robert Kennedy becomes the Democrat candidate and he is pro-crypto, then we will support him as well. That is just what we do. So Trump has taken on the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine to help him prepare for the election and a day one crypto policy. I can guarantee you right now that Gary Gensler will not be here on March the 1st next year. Think of that. You can see Gary Gensler, you can see his approach. He will not be there in 10 months' time. He is gone. You just have to wait. Like Pentoshi was saying before, sometimes you just have to wait. Now, this is the last news article before we get into these pairs. So, extreme rally ahead for crypto, top trader claims. And again, we need to take these, everything we read, we need to take with a pinch of salt. Do I think Bitcoin is going to $350,000 at the end of this bull run? No. Is there a scenario where it can happen? Yes. If enough people buy Bitcoin, it will go to whatever number you want. It can go to $1 million. It all depends on the volume and the indicators leading into that price. What could get us to $350,000? Think about that. An Ethereum ETF would certainly help. Gary Gensler being replaced with Hester Peirce would certainly help. A pro-crypto American government would help. Could they push the price of Bitcoin to $200,000, $250,000 with all of those things? Yes, absolutely. So there is a setup for that. There is also a setup where none of it really happens and we meander through for the next year, year and a half, and we get to $120,000. There's a scenario for that. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I can only kind of see rough paths that ahead. I think an Ethereum ETF would pump the entire market. And if we get that in April, that's going to hopefully push us from April to November for the bull run. And maybe we do have a double top. Maybe we top in March or April, and maybe we have a lull in the summer, and maybe we spike again in November. Maybe that's the way we do it this time. Maybe we start to have double tops in crypto. I don't know. So the cryptocurrency market might experience an extreme rally later this year, according to Henrik Ziberg. The sentiment is going to become extremely bullish closer to the blow-off top this cycle. He expects UK stocks to reach their peaks in the second half of 2024 and expects the recession to start in the last quarter of the year, which will prompt a fast decline in the markets. I don't know why he's predicting a recession. The UK yesterday or Friday came out of their recession, and the OECD, or whichever one it is, came out and predicted that the UK would have the best economy in Europe over the next 2 or 3 years. So the UK is coming out, and we kind of front run and lag America depending on the stage of the cycle. So they raise their rates before we do, but we will start to drop our rates before they do because we have a smaller economy in the UK. So we kind of, we lag and then front run. Now, the second the money printer is turned on in America and the second the interest rates are dropped, then the economy is going to grow. So I can't see a recession at the end of this year unless the recession lags the interest rates being cut, which is a possibility. And maybe we have, because it's 2 quarters, a recession is 2 quarters. So it would have to be the last quarter of this year and the first quarter of next year for the recession. I don't see Biden wanting to be in the middle of an election with negative growth. They're going to try and wangle it so it doesn't happen. But anyway, these guys know way more than I do. Tom Lee, head of research at Fundstart, recently predicted that inflation would see a dramatic decline in the second half of the year. He expects the leading cryptocurrency to surpass $150,000 in 2024. That's a bit steep from where we are now. What we're at now, we're at 63,000. So 100x by the end of the year. I don't know if we're going to break 100,000 this year. I do think 92, 94,000 would be a great price for the end of this year. Absolutely. So the CPI report, which is coming out soon on Wednesday, will be a catalyst for the market. Now, this is going back to what Kabir was saying about, are we going to drag on for another week? If that CPI number comes out and it is 0.1% or 0.2% lower than expected, everything is going to rip. Everything is going to rip. Remember, we are almost halfway through the year. The end of next month, we will be halfway through the year. So could we see CPI coming down now? And then could we see the first rate cut in June? And then July, the start of the second half of the year, we could see the markets rally. And remember, if the markets rally here, that'll be positive sentiment. So the rest of Europe, the rest of Asia, everything should start to follow. So in April, stocks and cryptocurrencies experienced a rather sharp decline after US inflation turned out to be stickier than previously anticipated. We know about that. We talked about stagflation. Now, stagflation is the worst. We talked about this. Inflation going up and the economy shrinking is the worst possible scenario. What these people want is inflation at 2% and growth at 3%, 2.5%, 3%. That's what they want. And that's where we were before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hammered, they printed all the money, ruined the economy around the world. Ignore whatever you're told about why we have inflation. Inflation is only caused by one thing, and that is your government printing your money. Go and watch. I can't remember who it was. Milton Friedman talked about it. The government in America printed 30% of its total supply in 6 months. The UK government printed 20% of the total supply in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever it was. That causes inflation. Everything else is neither here nor there. The cost of coffee, the cost of olive oil, the cost of oil, they are transitory. They don't cause a 12% spike in inflation. They cause a 0.2%, 0.3% spike in inflation. So don't listen to them. Don't listen to them when they blame other things going on. They're just hiding what's actually happened. And they knew what would happen. They knew what would happen. Because remember, inflation is great for debt. If inflation is at 5%, they owe 5% less per year in debt because the debt is being devalued. So inflation is great for them. That's why they want inflation. So don't listen to them. Don't listen to them when they tell you it's because of the cost of manure for a field in Eastern Europe or anything like that. So Bitcoin remains on a shaky ground, currently teetering on the verge of plunging below $60,000. Well, we did rip up. I think we're still at 63,000. It's up more than 45% year to date. Well, that is great. So now what I'm going to do now is we are going to go and have a look at some things which are not, I don't normally cover these things in the shows because they don't need looking at every day or every week. And I want to show you something I covered maybe a couple of months ago. And that is this. So I don't know who asked for it in chat the other week and on Saturday, and it was to do with pairs. So what you have on your screen is the Ethereum Bitcoin pair. Everybody's used to looking at Bitcoin USDT, Bitcoin USD. I get that. And that's the price of Bitcoin against the US dollar. There's other ways to look at it. And other ways to look at it are, how are coins doing compared to Bitcoin? So if we take US dollar and fiat out of the equation and we say, okay, we're going to put $10,000 into crypto, but we're going to keep it in crypto and we're never going to trade into fiat again. How would you do that? Well, the strategy is that you trade against Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the biggest asset. There is another scenario, for example, if you're on Solana and you're trading in meme coins, you will trade against Solana. So if you're buying Myro, if you're buying Dog with Hat, if you're buying, what another one over there, Bonk, you might trade against Solana. So you go in and out of Solana into your meme coins. But the most famous one is Bitcoin versus ETH. And this is the one where if you listen to Ben Cowen, and you had been listening to Ben Cowen, you would be richer today than you were 2 years ago. I need to sit up for this and have some coffee. So, I'm going to try and take this as slowly as possible. So if we zoom out all the way, this shows you how many Ethereum you need to buy one Bitcoin. That's all it shows you. So if we go all the way back to the previous cycle top, Bitcoin hit $69,000. When Bitcoin hit $69,000, you needed 11 Ethereum to buy one Bitcoin. That's all you needed. 11 Ethereum to buy one Bitcoin. Now I'm fairly OG, and I remember the days where you could get Bitcoin and it was 10 to 1. So I'm talking about the period over here. And I still remember these days. These were good days. You know, for 10 Ethereum, you could buy one Bitcoin. But those days are gone. So the point of the matter is, you have risk on and risk off, as we've talked about a second ago with the economy. And in crypto, you have the same thing. You can have riskier assets in crypto and then safer assets. And of course, the safest one is Bitcoin, which you should trade against. So had you held Bitcoin here and you hadn't sold your Bitcoin for Ethereum for the last 2 years, your one Bitcoin today could now buy you 25 Ethereum. So doing nothing else but holding Bitcoin for 2 years, you would now be able to get almost 2.5 times the amount of Ethereum for Bitcoin that you could at the top of the last cycle. Now, why is this important? It's important because we talk about having a balanced portfolio. Hold Bitcoin, hold Ethereum, hold Solana, hold XRP. It's the right strategy. In my opinion, it's the right strategy. Ben Cowen and others, Bitcoin maxes especially, would argue that no, you should just hold Bitcoin. Don't hold anything else but Bitcoin. Because, as you quite rightly would see, you now get more for your Bitcoin than anything else. And you can look at any chart. We're going to look at another couple in a minute. You could look at Cardano, XRP. You can look at them all, and it's the same kind of thing. Now, the worry for me is, when is Ethereum going to stop losing value against Bitcoin? Because, as you can see, every single time for 2 years that we have tried to break out, we have done nothing but go down. So where are we going to go down to? Well, the two areas for me are here, and if we want to be wholly negative, down here. So I think we are going to top or bottom, depending on which way you look at it. I think we're going to bottom at somewhere around 0.04. So we're still maybe we're another 10, 15, 20% away from there. How do we get there? If Ethereum gets rejected for the ETF, which is going to happen in May, I can see that. And I can see us hitting it by maybe not September, by July. By June, July, I can see Ethereum bottoming out against Bitcoin. And then the question is, at what point can Ethereum start to outpace Bitcoin? If we're talking about Bitcoin being at $100,000 by the end of the year, based on it being 0.04, we would see a $4,000 Ethereum. So from your point of view, you're thinking, great, I've had a $2,800 Ethereum, which I bought today. It's now worth $4,000 at the end of this year. So you have made, let's call it, for argument's sake, 33% profit. But Bitcoin has gone from $60,000 to $100,000. So Bitcoin has gone up 66%, not 33% like Ethereum. So why would you buy Ethereum? And I'm playing devil's advocate here. I think you should hold both. But when you look at the chart, and the charts are not wrong most of the time, where are we going to bottom? Just making sure I don't run out of time. Right, I'm going to move on to the next one. So this is, it's the same thing. It's the same kind of chart, but I want to give you a different outcome, because people will say, but what about Solana? Solana's absolutely ripped. Solana's gone from $12 to $150. Surely Solana has outperformed Bitcoin. No, it hasn't. You go back to the same time period that we did for Ethereum. And yes, at the nadir, you could get 1,900 Sol for one Bitcoin. At the peak, when Solana had its greatest pump from $1 to $230, there was one Bitcoin per 250 Sol. And even after this absolute rip that we have been on with Solana, you would still get nearly 75% more Solana for your Bitcoin if you just held Bitcoin from the top. So even with this 10x that Solana has done, you're still worse off holding Solana than you would have been holding Bitcoin. So the reason I'm showing you this is Ben Cowan's argument, and he always uses the term bleeding against Bitcoin. Everything bleeds against Bitcoin. And he quite rightly says that newer coins don't bleed against Bitcoin because they're newer, they don't have the baggage, they're still in the expansion phase, they're still growing. That makes perfect sense. But when you go to a coin that's more than 2 or 3 years old, you'll see everything bleeds against Bitcoin. Everything. Even when it has had such a huge run-up, such as this on Solana. So again, we go back to the point. If Bitcoin goes to $100,000 and does a 66% gain, Solana would need to outperform that, dramatically outperform that. Is it going to do it? Well, for it to outperform Bitcoin, it would need to do a 66% gain from where it is today. And what are we at today? $140. Could we see a $250 Solana by the end of the year? Absolutely. Could we see a $400 Solana by the end of the year? Absolutely. So rather than what I was saying about Ethereum, which is looking fairly negative, we could argue that Solana is likely to do this and move up against Bitcoin. And that is what I see happening. But remember, Solana is a far smaller market cap coin than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So its gains are easier to make than that of Ethereum. I think it's a sixth of the market cap of Ethereum, so it moves a lot faster. But are we going to see a point where Solana does go up here and then it follows the path that Ethereum went in. And then at the end of the bull run, it just does this for 2 years. Goes all the way down here, the same way we've just seen with Ethereum. Is that what we're going to see? I think so, because I think Solana is going through the retail expansion phase. It's got everything it needs for this bull run already. So we have the crazy run up where it gains against Bitcoin, maybe even touching where it was in the previous all-time high. And then for the next 2 years, everything bleeds to Bitcoin, because when you sell your smaller coins, your altcoins, you sell to Bitcoin. Altcoin season is where you take profits from Bitcoin and put them into alts. That's where you get these huge pumps from. It doesn't come from those coins being exceptional against Bitcoin. It comes from those coins taking the profits from Bitcoin. So I think Solana is going to mimic Ethereum in the future. I think it's going to rip up, maybe get itself to $200 or $300 billion market cap, and then bleed against Bitcoin for the bear market, which is in 2 years' time. That's how it's played out for Ethereum. I can't see how it won't play out the same for Solana. Then the last one we're going to show you. Oh no, we've got 2 more. And I haven't been checking chat, so I hope I've not sent most of you to sleep. The alts will not outperform Bitcoin over the long run, since they just follow the Bitcoin trend. Absolutely. So does this mean that the alts might not go up as we first thought, according to this talk? No. Alts go up after Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the alpha lion, and it's caught its prey. When Bitcoin is full and it walks away from the carcass, the altcoins feed. So the alt season happens after the Bitcoin all-time high normally. So what will normally happen is you'll have the Bitcoin blow off top. Then you will have the Ethereum follows. I can't remember if it's 4 or 6 weeks later. Then the altcoins follow. So when we talk about a dollar cost average strategy out, not all coins will start the same. Because if you start to dollar cost average out of everything, when Bitcoin gets to its all-time high, or where you think the all-time high is, you'll start to sell the alts maybe 6 weeks too soon. So the first thing you should be selling is your Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then the alt season happens and you can start selling your alts. There is a lag. There is a lag. Now, again, more evidence. In November 2022, Bitcoin dominance was 40%. So 40% of crypto was Bitcoin. 60% of crypto was all the alts. Almost 2/3. Since then, what have we done? We have seen Bitcoin eat everything around it. And it doesn't matter what happened, going back to only you, it doesn't matter what happens, it's just another reason. Now, personally, I think we are going to go to 60%. We're already at 55%. I think we're going to go to 60%. Now, I changed my tune not long after the ETF, and I said Bitcoin won't go higher than 56, 57, 58%. Then we had the ETF, and no matter what anybody thinks, they've been a rip-roaring success. Some of the greatest ETF launches in history have just happened with Bitcoin. Outperformed everything else. It's pumped Bitcoin full of fuel. So we are easily going to see a 60% Bitcoin. Now, what 60% Bitcoin is December the 16th-ish, depending on where I move this line. Let's call it December. Now, we've said that the real impact of the supply shock is going to happen 6 months after May 20th. So June, July, August, September, October, November. So November 20th is when we should see the supply shock. And I'm predicting that we get to about 60% on about the 2nd of December. No, 16th of December. So 3 weeks after, 3.5 weeks after, we get to the end of that 6 month period before we pump. we will see Bitcoin at 60%. Now, that means between now and then, 10% of crypto is going to fade into Bitcoin. So we might see the Bitcoin price rip and the alts rip, but less so. So we might see the 66% pump or the 50% pump in Bitcoin that everybody's talking about. We might only see a 25 or 30% pump in alts. And that answers, hopefully, Peter's question. Things are going to go up against the dollar, not necessarily against Bitcoin. So if alts go up 25% from here by the end of the year, and we see a $200 Solana, everyone's going to be happy. But Bitcoin will be at $100,000 or $80,000. And Bitcoin will have ripped 30, 40, 50, 60%, whereas Solana will have ripped 25%. So it's not that everything else is just going to flatline, it's just Bitcoin is going to perform that much better. And that is the trick. That's the thing to understand. When you're looking at pairs, Bitcoin, Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever, it's how that coin is performing against Bitcoin, not the dollar. If Bitcoin goes up 500% and Ethereum goes up 400%, so Ethereum is at $12,000, but Bitcoin is at $280,000, you'll be very happy because your Ethereum is now worth $12,000. But against Bitcoin, it hasn't performed as well. And that's the point of looking at pairs. The same with Bonk and Solana. You want to sell Bonk when it's got as much Solana as possible in it. You want to buy Bonk when it has the least amount of Solana in it. And that's how you trade those pairs that are outside of the US dollar. Because if you hold your money in Bitcoin and the market rips, you rip with it. Holding your money in US dollars is like getting off the train and you're sitting on the platform because you expect the platform to be the safest place to be because the train might start to go backwards. Bitcoin is the steady, the fastest, securest, risk-free in crypto train you can be on. And that's why people use it to trade pairs. Now, the one other example I'm going to give you is gold. And the reason I'm going to give you this gold one is to show you how it's possible to understand how gold has worked. Now, I haven't bothered getting an actual gold chart. What I have done is I've used PaxG, Pax Gold. This is a digital version of gold. You hear people say, oh, it would be great if we had a digital version of gold that we could buy because it's the best of both worlds. Well, news alert, it's been available for the last 5 years. PaxG, Pax Gold, is a digital version of gold. If you want to hold gold, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, then PaxG holds $1 worth of gold for $1 worth of PaxG. So why wouldn't you hold it? If you've got money in crypto and you want to put it into a different asset class that doesn't perform with anything else, then PaxG or something similar would be a good thing to use. So the problem is with gold is that Peter Schiff tells you how well gold has been doing against Bitcoin. And he talks about this. Okay, he talks about that. But what he hasn't talked about is this. And this is how much Bitcoin you can buy for your gold. I'm not going to go into the actual percentages because it doesn't matter. But can you see the thing with Ethereum now? Again, every time gold, and again, gold is a risk-off asset. Now, Peter highlights, and don't let me just get rid of that for a second. Peter will highlight this and tell you how gold has gained 30% against Bitcoin over that period of time. What Peter will not tell you is how it has lost 2/3 of its value over that period of time. So you hold $1,000 of gold at this point here. So that you hold $1,000 there. Down here, you might have $1,200 of gold. Good for you. You've made 20%. That's fantastic. Bitcoin may have made you $1,600. So you've made $600 in value. And that's what he doesn't mention. And yes, his fund pays a dividend. And yes, that probably means that it performs at 2 or 3% a year. And yes, gold is a very safe asset. If there is conflict tomorrow, you want to have exposure to gold. Simple. Gold is a flight to safety asset. It is a risk-off asset. It's been around for 600 years as an asset. It's been around for God knows how many years as an ETF. Can't remember now, 20, 30, 40 years as an ETF, whatever it might be. Countries have been buying gold at a faster rate over the last 6 months than at any point in the last 30 years. Why do you buy gold? Because gold backs your currency. So when America left the gold standard, the currency got debased. China, Russia, USA, IMF, all buying gold. Is it IMF? One of them. The World Bank is buying gold anyway. They're buying gold. It's a safe asset, but it doesn't perform against Bitcoin. Look at the collapse of the value of gold from here. It was 0.2. It's now 0.037. It's lost 80% of its value against Bitcoin in 4 years. Now, that doesn't mean this has gone down in value. It means it's gone up, but it's gone up nowhere near the value that Bitcoin has gone up. Conversely, not everything you own should be in Bitcoin. You need to have stocks and shares, bonds. You need to have gold. You need to have property if you can. You need to have a pension fund. You need all of those things. I'm not saying you should YOLO in to core or you should YOLO into meme coins. What I'm saying is that Peter Schiff will tell you that gold is a far superior asset to hold over the long term than Bitcoin. But I don't see it in the chart when you compare apples with pears. And gold, as from this moment onwards, if we ignore all of that before there, from this moment onwards, which was almost 2 years ago, you would have been better off holding Bitcoin because it's outperformed gold. It has outperformed Ethereum. It has outperformed Solana. So Ben Cowen, in his defense, and a lot of people have been having a go at him recently, and it's very unfair, and I'm not a Ben Cowen fanboy, but he's been right. If you'd had 100% of your crypto in Bitcoin for the last 2 years, you'd be better off now, and you'd be picking up 10 times, 5 times the amount of altcoins now than you would have been able to afford 2 years ago. So he's right. However, my argument is, you are not a full-time trader. You do not check the charts every day. It's not possible. I don't check stocks and shares every day. I don't follow them. The best thing for you to do is have a diversified portfolio that you sell at the top and you make good returns. If you make 600% on Bitcoin, 700% on Ethereum, 400% on Solana, you're still up 4, 5, 6x, but you've diversified. And that, for me, should be how you look at it. You should never buy one meme coin. You should never buy one crypto, because something fundamentally wrong can break it. Ethereum could have a bug, then you're ruined. Solana could go down for 6 weeks, it will be ruined. So always diversify. And I know over time Bitcoin will outperform and Bitcoin is king, but there will be an occasion where Ethereum wicks up and Solana wicks up, and that is when you sell. You hold Bitcoin on the way down. Then when it's at its bottom, when you can get the most Solana and Ethereum for your Bitcoin, you buy those alts. And when those alts run up, you sell them. That's how you play that game against Bitcoin, in my opinion. Core is up 54% in the last 24 hours. You know what? I'm going to look at Core. It's 12:05. We've actually got to the end of the show. But let's have a quick look at Core. Oops. I mean, the thing with Core is, I reviewed this project last week before. Let's try and give you. See, look. I mean, it's got some good vibes going on. If we do that, I just check that's in the right place. There. Right, okay. So, again, this is for Peter, because I know Peter's not a fan of meme coins at all. Is what you find with a meme coin is it will do this, and do this, okay? And that's what a meme coin does. I can show you thousands that have done that. And what happens is, influencers, or as I've now termed them, shillfluencers, they will buy here. They will tell you to buy here. They will buy here and tell you to buy here because it's on its way up. And then they sell. So they sell there and they sell there, and you end up holding bags of garbage. Now, this clearly isn't the same thing, is it? We've got an up, we're following the same pattern, but look, we've had exactly the same. Look at that. So we have got an exact line in the sand there that this coin can get to. We have slow accumulation, another rip up, and look what it's doing. This coin, which is a meme coin, and no, Peter's not going to be a fan of that, it's bouncing off the bull market support band beautifully. Look at that. Now, where the issue would be for me is if this coin did this, that would be an issue, because it's not honouring its support band and it's not using it as support. And if you look, what we're going to see now is we're probably going to see a bounce, and it's going to take us back up here, or where's that other line I've just drawn? I've got rid of it. Or it will go back up here to that line, which is there. Now this isn't. I've not been sponsored by Core, by the way. Nobody's paid me a penny for it. But as a meme coin, you don't see. You could call it a quadruple or a triple spike, but this is likely to do that. Maybe. I don't see why it can't do that. RSI looking good. Bouncing off its support band looking good. I made the video about this project probably. Let's have a look. I made the video back here, I think. Where did I make the video? I think it was at the very beginning of May. So about here, I made the video. So I think it's going to go up. It won't go up rapidly, but it will start to go up. And as I said, this isn't how a meme coin chart looks. If I show you Bonk, is Bonk a good example? No, I'll tell you what I'll show you. I'll show you Bohm. And we go to here. Now, what you tend to find, and I'm not saying this is a scam either, I'm saying it hasn't gone through the same path yet as Core. You have this spike, then you have a smaller spike, and then you have this. And then at some point, further down the line, it will have another wick up. Core's already had 3 of them. It's moving in the right direction. It's the biggest meme coin on the Chronos chain. It's looking good. I would advise you to look at it. I'm not going to tell you to buy it. It's a meme coin. Advise you to have a look at it. And it's not acting the same way as a lot of other memes are doing. And I've got a lot of faith in that community to do really well with that coin. But like I said, I'm not sponsored by any of these meme coins. They have not paid me a dime. And the Maneki that I gave out, by the way, that came straight out of our pockets. We didn't get paid by them either. So go and check them out. Right, alpaca. I was going to make a video about alpaca. So I was. Alpaca is on my list of coins to make, to review. Right. Well, first of all, this isn't looking too good. How old is this coin? Okay, so it's got history. Oof, that's rough. Let's go back to daily. Right, I think the problem here is this coin has sat below its support band for 2 years. So this doesn't bode well. Now, the thing with this coin is I don't know the market cap of this coin. That's the first thing. But let's do some recent fib. Don't want to do anything from that height. It's so high. If we take it down here. Okay. Now, it's in the kill zone. If you believe in this project, then this last period of time, which is from July last year until now, has been the time to buy this token. So you've had a year. What is likely to happen if this coin gets some good news or a partnership mentioned or no, hang on. This is the wrong chart. This is the chart. I've clicked on the wrong bleeding chart. There we go. It's still below its bull market support band, but it's looking a lot better. Anyway, that was just a demonstration of how to chart against Bitcoin to clearly show that holding Bitcoin was the best thing to do. So let's go from here to here. Right. We're still in the kill zone on this chart. So this area here is a good place to buy, in my opinion. We are below the bull market support band. Have they just crossed over? I can't really see. I think so. Again, we have to break this level here, which is the orange fib, which is 20 cents. We've got to get back above 20 cents or we're going to be struggling. That level there, which is 22.75 cents, it's been wicked to a lot. It's been broken through and it's come straight back down. So this needs some bullish news, or this needs a buyback. This needs something to give it a bit of a kick in, because at the minute, if it's a great project, and I'm going to go and have a look at it at some point, then this is a good place for you to buy this token. If you believe in this project, it's a good place to buy. But the chart, again, we talk about the kill zone and this bottom area here. We've seen XRP, we've seen Cardano, we've seen Solana, we've seen them all in this area. And if you think this is a great coin, then that's when you want to be buying it. So even though the chart looks fairly bad, the RSI is low, it does look like it's going to need a bounce. Everything looks like it needs to bounce. All the charts, Ethereum, Solana, they all need a slight bounce. But it all depends on what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin corrects even more, you're going to see everything else drop considerably. So if Bitcoin moves down another 5%, all the alts are going to lose 15%. So we need to really hold this 60,000, 62, 63,000, and we need to move up, because we're not far. We're not far from, it might look it, but we're not far from 74,000. We're really not. What are we, 20% away? 20% away. So if Bitcoin moves up, any altcoin like that that's a good solid project is going to move in the right direction. But if Bitcoin drops and comes to the bull market support band, so let's say we do see, let's bring one of these down here. Let's say we do see Bitcoin come down here to 57,000, then those altcoins will be 20% cheaper. That's the way to think about that as well. But anyway, it's really late. Didn't realise the time. 50 million market cap. Right, okay. So this could double if there's a big buy order. It's the largest lending protocol allowing leverage yield farming on the BNB chain and Phantom. Also, okay, right. Thank you for the great insights. Keep up the good work, Alex. No problem. Right, I'm going to go, everybody. It's 1:15, and I didn't realise the time. Thanks for tuning in. Right, so Peter and Only, what is it? Only? Never remembered it. The pronounce Only You. I do have your portfolios. They're both extensive portfolios. I'm going to have a look at them properly. They're going to take a few hours to go through. They're not quick. So I'm going to have a look at them. It might not be today. I've got to make a video yet. But it will be over the course of this week. I'll get back to both of you and let you know about your portfolios. Until tomorrow, thank you all for tuning in. And I will see you all tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. Brogan is streaming tonight. Brogan is streaming at 9 o'clock tonight. The TA charts tonight. So make sure to tune in. Don't miss that. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.